Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, much love and respect to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. This is your brother, Kaya Napash. You can just call me Napash. And I'm here to do another lesson dealing with Genesis, the 10th chapter. Okay, so we're going to, touch on some maps and some history. Okay, and we're dealing with specifically today Elam and Asshur, okay, which Asshur being the Assyrians. Okay, now I'm going to go to Genesis, the 10th chapter, and read Salakia, Genesis, the 10th chapter, and read from the 21st verse. It says, unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Asshur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. Okay, so we see there's Elam and Asshur that's mentioned first, right? Now, Elam, the word Elam means young. Okay, Elam, which means young, and that's where you have the word virgin. There's two different meanings for the word virgin. There's Bathwala, which means a woman that has never laid with a man, and then there's another word in the Hebrew which is Ayalama, which means a young woman, and that's what it meant when it was speaking of Mary being a virgin. It meant that she was what? Ayalama, a young woman. Okay, so the word Elam means young, and when you look at them Elamites, man, they look young. Okay, a lot of times they be grown men and they look like like children. Okay, when I say Elamites, I'm speaking about what the East Indians. Okay, a lot of the Iranians, the majority of the Iranians, and some of them the Iraqis as well. Okay, and the Pakistanis, so on and so forth. Those would be considered the Elamites, and they're not the same as the so-called Arabs, which are Ishmaelites. Okay, I'm going to go into a bit of that history. And then you have Asshur, which is the Assyrians. Now, when you look at this map, right, in history, the Elamites, okay, they migrated to they went to southern Iraq and southern Iran. Okay, so right around these regions. Bring my okay, perfect. Right around these regions is where the Elamite tribes migrated to, because they were nomadic at one point in time, meaning they moved around, they traveled a lot. Okay, then they became more stationary. So this is where Elam was. I'm going to get some history on Elam. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, it says this is the Elamites were most likely the indigenous people of the region whose civilization began to develop about the same time as the Mesopotamian Ubaid period, 5000 BC, so on and so forth. They had built Susa, and one of the oldest cities in the world, developed script, so on and so forth. Let's go down a bit. Try to find something that's significant to what I'm saying here. This is all being done, in the spirit. Okay, let's come down a bit. Okay, well, you see what it says here. It says, below are 10 important facts concerning the ancient Elamites, who, although they disappeared completely from historical record after their last nation state, Elamius was taken by the Sasanian Empire in 224 CE, left their mark on history through their contributions to Persian culture. No, this is the thing. They were the Persians. Okay, the Persians were Elamites. You see, the thing is that these other nations, what they did was they changed their names. Okay, so they would call themselves, some would call themselves Elamites, and there's others that would call themselves Persians. Okay, which would create confusion. Okay, just like the Assyrians, right? You had the Assyrian Empire, but then you had the Babylonian Empire. They were the same people. Okay, they were the same people. I'm going to go into some of that too. Let me go up more. Okay, yeah. Elam, located in the region of the modern day provinces of Yam and Khuzestan in Iran. Okay, you see that? Was one of the most impressive civilizations of the ancient world, which I thought Esau, the so-called white man, said that civilization started with the Greeks. So how are they saying that these were the most, some of the most impressive civilizations in the world? You see how Esau is a liar and a racist? Okay, it says it was never a cohesive ethnic kingdom or polity, but rather a federation of different tribes governed at various times by cities such as Susa, Ashan, and Shishanki, until it was united during the Middle Elamite period. Okay, and they were all Elamites. Okay, they were Elamites. You see, where they had a sprinkle of other nations in there, we know that it was predominantly Elamites. People, the scriptures say that every man consorteth to his kind. Hold on, let me see something. Might not be quoting it perfectly, but it should find it. Okay, perfect. And it says, Sirach 13 and 16, it says, all flesh consorted according to kind, and a man will cleave to his like. So these other nations were not mixing like that because everyone is going to go to those that fit their spirit. Okay, that's why Israelites chill with Israelites. You know, Moabites chill with Moabites because they have a similar spirit. They have a kinship. Okay, this is how you know the kingdom of heaven is not for everybody. This is for the family of. It's going to be for the family of the Israelites. You know, and even Israelites that look like heathens, a lot of their the friends that they vibe with, a lot of the time, those are also Israelites. You see, because they can't deal with the heathens that are amongst their people. They're going to consort to other Israelites that might just look like the same nation that they're from. Salakia. I don't know how that happened. Shit. Zoom out this. I do that now. Golly. Give me 1 second. I don't know what happened there, man. Let's try to re-upload this just to get that map showing how it's supposed to look. Man. Wow. Anyways, it's the southern part of that region. Let me back up, man. Let me back up because I don't know what the hell happened just now, man. Golly. So let me come over here. Let me come back over here. Continue reading, and then I'm gonna deal with that after. Lord's will, it gets dealt with, and it says okay, it said it's here. Elam appeared briefly as an empire. The name Elam was given to the region by others, the Akkadians and Sumerians, or Mesopotamia, and is thought to be their version of what the Elamites called themselves, Haltami or Haltamti, which Ialama was the original name going back to Noah. Okay, that was the original name going back to Noah and then Shem. Their name was Ialama. Okay, see, and it says meaning those of high country. See, so this is a totally different meaning, a totally different name, Haltamti. And it says Elam therefore is usually translated to highlands or high country, which that's not the meaning of Elam. See, Esau goes off. The meaning of Elam is young, as it was comprised of settlements on the Iranian plateau, which stretched from the southern plains to the elevations of Zagros mountains. The Bible's claim for Genesis 10 and 22 that the land was named for Elam, son of Shem, son of Noah, has no support outside of the biblical narrative. And this is why you can't use the outside narratives to try to justify everything in the scriptures, okay? Which the scriptures is what you use to justify the things of secular history. That's what you're supposed to use. That's supposed to be the benchmark, not these different scholars and things like this. No, because the Lord sets it up where a lot of the things won't seem to line up just to throw you off, man. So if you're trying to get an exact number of everything, which the Lord doesn't deal with exact numbers with in a lot of instances at all, because the like Jonah, right? It was supposed to fall in a certain period of time. The Heavenly Father, extended time or whatever the case may be, different. The Lord gave certain times for certain things, and they happened not on those exact times, although the Most High himself gave the revelation of the times. Because you have to understand, the Heavenly Father, he's always staying many steps ahead of man. Okay, he doesn't have to give you an exact time. Okay. Oh yeah, this is one of the articles I pulled up. This is says Elam. No, this is the same article. No, this is not the one I was looking for. Salakia. Golly, just bear with me. Baba Kusha. Okay. I was clicking on a few different things dealing with that. All right. Computer's moving slow now. Okay. Just gonna have to bear with me. All right. Negative. You can look at the gods of these different nations, and a lot of times when you look at the ancient gods, they look like the people of that region today. The people that we're speaking about. For example, the god of Moab, which was what was his name, Michash, something like that, or Chemosh. That's a Moabite. That's clearly a so-called Chinese person. All right, showing you that the Moabites were the ancient Moabites. The so-called Chinese are the ancient Moabites. Right. All right. So we could. So anyways, I'm gonna leave off on that point, dealing with that. There's a couple other things I was looking at. All right. Oh, this is one thing I was looking at, the Achaemenid Empire. Now, when you look up Achaemenid is another way of saying the Persian Empire, in other words. Okay? So that's why it spoke about, was it Cyrus the Great being an Achaemenid. Okay? Yeah, perfect. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. Okay, this particular article right here. Okay? So the Achaemenid Empire, right? Let's see. This says, east of the Zagros Mountains, a high plateau stretches off towards India, while Egypt was rising up against the Hyksos. A wave of pastoral tribes from North Caspian Sea was drifting down into this area and across into India. Okay, notice they went into India. Right, that's what we told you. The so-called East Indians, they go back to Elam. By the time the Assyrians had built their new empire, right? So the Assyrians were building a new empire. Okay, you can keep that in mind too. A second wave had covered the whole stretch between the Zagros and the Hindu Kush. Some tribes settled, others retained their semi-nomadic lifestyle. These were the Iranian people. You see, these are all Elamites. You see, they went into India, they went into Iran, they went into southern Iraq. Okay, these are where the Elamites went, and they all have similar characteristics as every nation does. Like all nomad, and you can even start to how would you say, pinpoint the different tribes within the nations, which they have certain characteristics that's similar to their tribe, just like the Israelites. Okay, like all nomadic peoples, lacking police and laws, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's the main point. All right, that's the main point there. Oh, this is another point. It said one of the regions whose tribes paid tribute to the Medes was Persia. Right, so the Persians were paying tribute to the Medes at one point. And the Medes were living in close proximity to the Persians, right? That's why, and the Medes had a very short rule. As a matter of fact, let me get Daniel's the 5th chapter. Salakia. Get Daniel's the 5th chapter. Get Daniel's the 5th chapter. Talk too much. All right, this is Daniel's the 5th chapter. And this is going into the end of the Assyrian Babylonian Empire and coming into the rulership of the Mede. Okay, which was Darius. Okay, this is Daniel's 5:1. It says, Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to thousands of his lords and drank wine before the thousands. And what he did was he actually got the vessels, the gold vessels from the temple, the silver vessels, and he was drinking in them, so that displeased the Heavenly Father. And what happened is the Heavenly Father had a finger write something on the wall, and he had to get Daniel to interpret the writing on the wall. Then Daniel was brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of God of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not shew the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler in the kingdom. And Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gift be to thyself, and give thy reward to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O thou king, the most high power have gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled in fear before him. Right? Because all these kingdoms, are really given into the hands of whatever ruler or whatever nation by the hands of the Heavenly Father. You see? Whom he would he slew, and whom he would he kept alive, and whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High Power ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. In other words, he turned his father at one point, when he got proud, Nebuchadnezzar, into like a beast. Okay, he had him grow. He grew feathers. He grew talents. He was eating out there with the beast for a period of time. Okay, to humble him. All right, and thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest that all this, but hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the power in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and it was written, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Mene tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, the Most High hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. You see, notice it mentioned the Medes and the Persians. Okay, but the Medes were greater than the Persians. Okay, the Medes were, Salakia, that was a slip of the tongue. The Persians became greater than the Medes. The reason why the Medes came up first is because at one point the Medes were over the Persians. That's why we read in that history, it said that the Persians were paying tribute to the Medes, which the Persians are the Elamites, and the Medes would be the Japhites. Okay, Japheth is less significant than Elam. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of Chaldeas, slain. So he was killed that same night. All right. And Darius the Median, all right, Darius the Mede, took the kingdom, being about 62 years. All right, so 62 years old. Darius the Mede took the kingdom. Okay, and then after Darius the Mede came this Cyrus the Great. Understand? Cyrus the Great, being of one of the tribes of the Elamites, okay, which are coming from the Achaemenid clan. Okay, let's read that. It says, one of the regions whose tribes paid tribute to the Medes was Persia, which lay southeast of Ecbatana, beyond Elam, which they were Elamites. Okay, they were just Elamites that were moving around. There were around 10 or 15 tribes in Persia, so there was many different tribes, and a lot of them had nomadic nature, so they were moving around. Okay, Salakia, something's going on with that. Saint doesn't like when these lessons come out, man. Okay, it says of which one was the Pasargade, the Pasargade tribe. The leader of the Pasargade tribe always came from the Achaemenid clan. Okay, and in 559 BCE, a new leader was chosen, Cyrus II the Great. All right, Cyrus II, aka Cyrus the Great. Okay, which was of the Achaemenid clan. Okay, and this was the first Persian ruler. All right, this was the first Persian ruler. See? You come up. Oh, hold on. It's not right there. Okay. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Okay. So Belshazzar vision appeared unto Daniel after that which appeared unto me at the first. Okay, so this was a vision that Belshazzar was seeing. Okay, dealing with the province of Elam. Then I lifted up mine eyes, but this is not what I was really looking for, I don't think. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other. And right, this is dealing with the Medo-Persians. Okay, this is dealing with the Medo-Persians now. Okay, so it says, all right, so listen up. It says, and I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. It's no surprise that it was in Elam. Okay, a province in Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high. Okay, that's the Medes and the Persians. The two horns, one is the Mede and one is the Persians. But one was higher than the other, and the one that was higher than the other was the Persians. And the higher came up last, meaning the Persians came up last. That's why the Medes, right, came into power first, starting with Darius. Okay, and then after that, the Persians came into power. Cyrus the Great, which is Cyrus II, so on and so forth. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great. And you can see that in these different movies, well, specifically the movie 300, and I don't know if there's any other movies out there, but that's the main movie that comes to mind. The Elder Apostle Harvard speaks about that movie, and it showed you how great and how dreadful that Persian Empire was. And it was like an everlasting, they had like an everlasting army, like, you kill 10,000, another 20,000 pop up. You know what I'm saying? And it says, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had, meaning that he was moving with great speed, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And this goat was speaking about Alexander the Greek, because he's the one that came to take down the Persian Empire. Okay, it was to the point where I think who was it? The last before he was taking him down, the Persian king said nah, let's make a deal, and that offended Alexander the Greek. He said, how dare you? Because they've been having so much wars before that. His thing was not about making peace. His thing was about taking them down, man. Okay, so you know what happened? His underlings were so nervous that they put him to death so that they could submit. All right, that's how fierce the Lord put the spirit on that devil, man. Okay, it said, and as Salakia, and he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him. Yo, choler, hold on, what's choler? That's like great anger, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me look that up real quick. Don't want to take up too much of your time. Just real quick. Let's look up the word choler, because I mentioned that the fact that they asked for that the king tried to ask for to make a deal with him, as if because for you to make a deal, you got to be in some position of power. You have to have some leverage. If you don't have no leverage, why the hell would I make a deal with you? That's like you're playing Monopoly and you have all the houses, and then this person got like one utility place, and he's trying to make a deal with you for you. There's no deal you can make. All right, you're in a subservient position at that particular time. All right, it says bitterness. Bitterly, choler, grieve, vexed. Bitterness grieved him. Provoke. He felt provoked. That's what I'm saying. Yo, Salaki, man. Bitter, provoked. He felt provoked, man. Enraged. You see, like I said, man, just the fact that he was trying to make a deal with him, that he thought that he could make a deal with him, that actually enraged him. Man. Wow. How about Shemel Shah is beautiful, because this is his story. He created this story. Anyways, it says and there was no power in the ram. And move a choler against him, and smote the ram and break his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. And this is dealing with his four generals, and I'm not getting into that right now. All right, so that's the point. Okay, that's the point. So these are the Elamites. All right, the Elamites are the like I said, the East Indians predominantly, the Pakistanians, the Iranians. All right, a lot of the Iranians, which also the Iranians are mixed up as well. But it's they're mostly Elamites, and then you got some southern Iraqis, which are Elamites, or some Iraqis in general, which are Elamites, because they mixed amongst the people. Now dealing with Asshur. See if this map is, goodness gracious. I gotta try to get this map to how it was before, man. I don't even know how to do that right now. Let me see. How do you do that again? Control something. Control shift. I don't do that shit. Show screen. Golly, I don't know. Let me see. Reset. That's better. It's still not where it was before. There we go. That's a lot better. That's a lot better. I could even make it a bit bigger than that, though. Okay, there. All right. So you got Asshur, which is up here around the region of Mesopotamia. Right now, I told you that the Assyrians and the Babylonians are the same people. Okay, but remember, our brothers, the 10 tribes, they went into captivity. Let me see. Which that's Second Ezra 13. Actually, there's Second Ezra. That might be Second Ezra 6. Actually, no, that's Second Ezra 13. Salaki, my memory's not all that great, man. I'm working on it. This is Second Ezra 13 and verse 40. It says, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, all right, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land." All right, so they went into the captivity of the Assyrians, which the Assyrians tried to take down the kingdom of Judah, but they couldn't because the Lord was still dealing with the kingdom of Judah at that time. Now, what was I thinking? And the Lord used those Assyrians for great judgment, because the Assyrians were known for being very cruel. Now you can take that and tie that to the Edomites, because the Edomites are even more cruel than the Assyrians. Okay, this is Isaiah 10 in verse 5. It says, "O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. I will send him against an hypocritical nation. Against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge, to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets." This is speaking about Israel, okay? Specifically the northern kingdom this happened to, okay? "Howbeit, he meaneth not so, neither doth his heart think so, but it is in the heart to destroy and cut off nations, not a few. For he saith, are not my princes altogether kings?" All right, but it says, "Is not Calno and Carchemish, is not Hamath as Arpad, is not Samaria as Damascus?" And this is a heathen nation. Damascus is where the Syrians were at. Okay, so basically he's saying you're acting just like a bunch of heathens. Okay, "As my hand hath found the kingdoms of the idols, and whose graven images did excel them of Jerusalem and of Samaria," which ultimately at the end of the day, the Lord sent the Assyrians against both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, because the Babylonians, like I said, they are Assyrians. Okay, the Lord was using the Assyrian nation, or Asshur, that we read there, Asshur, which they say means a step or progress or whatever the case may be. They sent what was I saying? The Babylonians were also Asshur, okay, were also from the same nation. All right, so that's the point on that. Let's go not here. Let's go here. It says, particularly this part, it says, "The defeat of the Assyrians and the transfer of the empire to Babylon." See if there's something up there I wanted to read. No, okay. "The defeat of the Assyrians and the transfer of the empire to Babylon marked the first time the city and southern Mesopotamia in general," listen closely, man, "the defeat of the Assyrians, okay, and the transfer of empire to Babylon," meaning what? Babylon was warring with Assyrians, which Assyrians were the same people. It's the same thing as the Greeks warring with the Romans. They're both Edomites. The Greeks and the Romans were Edomite nations, right? You see what I'm saying? But they were warring against each other, acting as if they were two different separate people. Okay? It's like you got Russia trying to fight against America, London. These are Edomites. This is Esau versus Esau. Okay? "The defeat of the Assyrians and the transfer of the empire," well, matter of fact, to put this out there too. Even Israelites were warned against other Israelites, man. Okay? Israelites were warned against the southern, against the northern kingdom, against different tribes or whatever the case may be, man. Okay? So this happens. The same people, they war against each other. Okay? This always happens. The defeat of the Assyrians and the transfer of the empire to Babylon marked the first time the city and southern Mesopotamia in general had risen to dominate the ancient Near East since the collapse. What did it say there? Right? Okay. The collapse of the Hammurabis of old Babylonian Empire nearly 1,000 years earlier. The period of... No, there's something that it said there. It said... Seeing chance of the empire marked the first time the city and southern Mesopotamia in general had risen to dominate the ancient Near East since the collapse of the Hammurabis Babylonian Empire. The period of Neo-Babylonian, thus unprecedented economic population growth throughout Babylonia, so on and so forth. Okay, so there was a part where it said that the people of Babylon were native to Mesopotamia. There was a particular part where it said that. I was just reading that. Damn. It said that they were native to that land. Beginning of established Neo-Babylonian Empire. Monarchs. And if I can't find it, then just go do some research on it. But they're native to that land, and that land is Mesopotamia. And I'm going to show you that on the map, that the Assyrians were the ones that were living in that area. Okay, cool. We'll leave it at that. Okay, we'll leave it at that. We're not going to stay on that too long. And this thing is based upon faith anyway. So I'll get all the exact evidence and this and that. And if the Lord hasn't given you the faith, you still won't get it. Okay? It said, blessed are those who believe and have not seen. You know what I'm saying? So now this is the region of Mesopotamia. Okay? And you see, you have right up here, you have Asshur. Okay? Asshur. Which this is where the Assyrians were at. This whole region, the Assyrians were here. And those Babylonians are Assyrians. But they split into, there was like a kingdom of Assyria, and there was a kingdom of Babylonia. Which right down here it says Babylon was over here. Okay? Which this is all the region of Mesopotamia. You see, Babylon is right here. And under that you had the Persians and the Medes. Okay? You see down here was supposed to be Ur, the Chaldeans. Okay. So anyways, and by the way, another thing I wanted to say, that this area here is also today Iraq. So a lot of the Iraqis are actually Assyrians. A lot of those people as the Iraqis that they were trying to find weapons of mass destruction from, right? A lot of those people are actually Assyrians. Asshur. Okay, so not everyone is Ishmael just because they got a turban on, or you know what I'm saying, are Muslims or whatever. That doesn't make them Ishmael. A lot of Elamites that are Muslims, a lot of Assyrians that are Muslims, a lot of nations that are Muslims. Okay, which is a false religion. But with that, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, much love to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Your brother Napash, I'm out. Shalom.